Hi, Josh here with channel ZZZ Giant Awake. This is just going to be a normal video log, no editing really, maybe some minor cuts, but otherwise uncut. I just wanted to talk about a couple of experiences that I had this week, and it really has to do a lot with the power of the people, the power that we have as citizens of the United States of America. So I'm taking a law class. It's an intro to law. It's paralegal for professionals, but it's listed as Law 101. Um, and then I also got the opportunity to go to the Utah State House of Representatives to sit in for a meeting about comprehensive sex ed. So in the law class, we discussed the power that administrations and departments, United States departments, have, and it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Um, like you think, oh, a law goes through the Senate then has to vote on it and has to have a popular vote in order to get passed to the House, or vice versa. The House votes first, and then the Senate, just depending on how the bill runs its life. And then it goes to the president's office. The president stamps it, or signs it, or vetoes it with a stamp. And then the judges have judicial review if that ever comes up in court to see if it's constitutional, right? Not really. Not with a lot of stuff we have to deal with, according to my law professor and the books, and I'm not going to cite any of this. If you're interested in it, either bring it up in the comment section and force me to cite it, or you can look it up online. I'm sure there's enough resources to do so nowadays. But with administrations and departments, again, United States departments and stuff like that, essentially what happens is the Congress decides to create a department. And so they write a bill, they put the department into place, the department then becomes an actual entity. And it reports typically to the president or to one of the president's cabinet members. Um, the weird thing about it is when those things are made, they have all of the power. They have the power to create their own rules and regulations that have the same standings as statutes that have been passed by Congress, but they also have the ability to decide how to enact those rules and regulations. And the judges also don't use judicial review to make sure they're constitutional typically. What a weird thing, right? I'm really uncomfortable with it, especially because one of the rules for you to take it into court typically is you have to go through all of the you have to go through all of the means of relief in the side of that department that department offers. And then after, and only after that, it's called exhaustion, can you take it to a court to be reviewed by a judge. But those relief options, there's usually a statute of somewhere around 30 days for you to go through and exhaust all of the potential reliefs within that department. And typically those relief things take time, meaning that if you are being prosecuted, or if you're being fined, or if you're being essentially challenged by one of those departments, you have no chance of ever having your day in court. A good example is I'm going to use a personal example, and it's just one from a different period in my life where I was a lot more careless and a lot more stupid. I got a DUI. So within that, it was kind of tough to realize, and I didn't really realize the whole weight of it at the time. No matter what had happened, the circumstances of that DUI were kind of weird. I wasn't driving the car, I wasn't operating the car at the time. I was in the cab of the car, the keys were not in the ignition. Um, but I'm not too bitter about the way everything played out. It put my life on the trajectory it is now, and I'm much happier with this trajectory than the old trajectory. But the point is that the driver's license division gave me a month to come up with a case to try and review that and try and to essentially to save my license. But they don't go off of the same standards. It's not innocent until proven guilty. It's not beyond a reasonable doubt. It's if they have kind of the premonition that they feel like you might have been in violation of DLD rules, then you lose your license. So even if I had been found innocent in court, that doesn't mean I wouldn't have gotten my driver's license back. Now, at worst, in this circumstance, I lose my driver's license. But if you're talking about something more serious, and I'm not going to say that the people of the Oregon, Al Qaeda, I'm not going to say that they're right, but the Division of Land Management or the Bureau of Land Management can essentially assess fines without you having the opportunity to seek relief in court, which is kind of fucked up. And it's not just the Bureau of Land Management, it's every administration, every bureau, every department that the United States is given this power to. Yeah. And so really in those circumstances, if you're being contacted by those departments or bureaus, you're best off just to kind of not fight it and do whatever the fuck they tell you to, because you're theirs. And judges won't, if they practice their rules the way that read differently than the rules, the judges usually won't do shit about it. So there's that, and made me realize the only real power that we have as citizens of the United States that is going to ever give us our power back, and at least balance the power at all, is there's two ways, really. Like, if you can come up with any other ways, I welcome it in the comment section, but outside of real activism, as in taking your complaints and making them public and making them popular, and then taking them to the Senate or to Congress or to your House, outside of that, and the other one is voting. Outside of those two things, we really don't have much power anymore. And that's not conspiratorial. I think that the government is actually fairly outside of the campaign finances things and doing a lot more breaks for businesses than for people. The government could be a lot worse. Let me just put it that way. The other thing that I got to witness is I went to the House of Representatives to support a comprehensive sex ed bill in Utah, because Utah is an abstinence-only state, which is fucking ridiculous. And it was weird. There was the House and the guy who Representative King in Utah put forth this idea, hey, it's an opt-in comprehensive sex ed course. You're not automatically enrolled. It doesn't affect you unless you enroll your children in it. And even that very, very, very soft version of comprehensive sex ed couldn't even see the day of light because we're a majority Republican. We had a majority Republican House. So it's frustrating. Like, it really is frustrating. It makes me want to be more involved in activism, and also it makes me kind of want to run for the House of Representatives. Can an atheist in Utah pull that off? That's a good question. And I'm not talking about the national House of Representatives. I'm talking about just the Utah state. So that's been what's burning on my mind recently. If you like this video, like it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share, comment, rate, all that shit. And I think that's all I got. And also, I'm going to be on a hangout tomorrow, which is actually today, in about 12 hours on Robert Wallace's channel. I'll have a link to his channel in the description so you can find me tomorrow talking at about 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, 12 o'clock Pacific Time, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You get the idea. I think that's it. Thank you guys. Take care.